Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, I'm going to be making my predictions for who will win the regular season individual awards for the upcoming year. Before I get too far into it though, I want to remind you all to leave a like and subscribe. I've been appreciating all the support that I've been receiving lately, and I hope to see that continue. Without further ado, let's get into these predictions. So we'll start with the MVP award, and my prediction for who will win this award this year is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I get that people are predicting there to be voter fatigue, and people don't necessarily think that the media is going to vote Giannis to a third straight MVP. They like to mix it up, and I just don't see it. I think that Giannis is clearly going to be the best player in this regular season. I'm not saying he's the best player overall, but during the regular season, he always gives great effort. He plays as many games as he physically can, and in those games, he puts up terrific numbers. I also think that he's probably going to have to play more minutes than he has before because the team's depth isn't quite as good. You don't have the 12th man being a solid option coming off the bench, and so Giannis is probably going to have to step it up and play closer to 33 or 34 minutes per game instead of the 30-ish that he was playing last year. So I think that he's going to have a fantastic statistical season. I think the Bucks are probably going to finish with the best record in the league, and I think that Giannis is a pretty easy pick for the MVP, and I'm not going to overthink it and predict someone else to win because of voter fatigue or anything like that. In second place, I have Nikola Jokic. I think that the Nuggets are going to be really, really good this season. I have them as the #1 regular season team in the Western Conference. I don't think they're going to be better than the Clippers and Lakers in the playoffs, but because of load management stuff, I do think the Nuggets are probably going to be a better regular season team. We're going to see them pile up wins behind terrific stats and contributions from Jokic. He's got a chance to average really close to a triple-double from the big man position, which is always exciting. He was terrific in the bubble. His shooting had a huge improvement, and I think that if we can see that carry out over a full season, we could see him shoot the three ball at like a 38% mark. His assist numbers stay high, his rebounding stays great, and his scoring totals get closer to 25 points per game instead of the lower 20s like they were this year. I think he's going to have a real case for MVP, and that's why I have him #2. Third, I have Damian Lillard. I have the Trailblazers as a top 5 team in the Western Conference for the upcoming season, and a big reason for that is Damian Lillard. He's the only top 30 player on this roster, so clearly to get his team into the top 5 in a competitive Western Conference, he's going to have to be great. I think we'll probably see him average upwards of 30 points per game, score efficiently from the field, put up 6 or 7 assists, and not be completely awful on defense. So I think that he'll have a very good MVP case. I have him third on my list. Fourth, I have Luka Doncic. Lots of people are making a case for him to be the favorite, but I just don't think the Mavericks are going to put up enough wins in the regular season, mostly because of the Kristaps Porzingis injury. Usually the MVP goes to a guy whose team finishes in the top 3 in their respective conference, and I think that the Mavericks are going to finish somewhere between 6th and 8th in the West this year. So I'm really curving Luka's MVP chances, and I'm not super high on them, but I still have him 4th here because I think he's going to have a great season anyways and put up great statistics. Fifth, I have Anthony Davis, who I would probably predict as a top 2 guy here, if not for the fact that the Lakers are the NBA Finals champions. So #1, they're probably going to be a little more relaxed in the regular season, and #2, they finished playing less than 3 months prior to the season starting. So I think that at least at the beginning of the season, we're going to see AD sit out a lot of back-to-backs. He's not going to be giving it his all on the court when he is out there, and he'll probably play much fewer minutes in blowouts than he did this past year. So because of that, I just don't think that the counting stats are going to be too great, and I have him 5th on my MVP list. Now we'll move on to Defensive Player of the Year. I listed 5 candidates for MVP, but for the rest of the awards, I'm only going to be doing 3. I just thought that since MVP is the most prestigious award, that one deserved a bit further discussion. But for Defensive Player of the Year, I am picking Rudy Gobert to be the winner. I think that Gobert is easily the most impactful player on the defensive end of the floor due to how great he is as a rim protector. He's a tier above everyone else in the league as a shot blocker. He's also a terrific rebounder, which I think needs to factor into this discussion. And I think that after signing his Supermax, he's going to go out there with something to prove. We're going to see him have a terrific season with great effort and the usual terrific statistics with the shot blocking and rebounding. That's why I have him as my DPOY. In second, I have Giannis Antetokounmpo, the winner of this award from last year. It's not that I think Giannis is going to take a step back on the defensive end. I just think that he perhaps won't necessarily be as impactful because of the higher minute totals that he's going to be playing. So, and that in combination with my prediction that Rudy Gobert is going to have his best season of his career leads me to slotting Giannis in at a very respectable second on this list. And third, I have Ben Simmons. I was debating between Simmons and Anthony Davis for this third spot, but I ended up going with Simmons because I think he'll probably play more games than Davis and have a similar impact on the defensive end of the floor. He's a terrific on-ball defender, an absolute menace to deal with, can basically guard all 5 positions on the court, and that is as valuable as it gets in today's switch-happy NBA. I'm also predicting Ben Simmons to break out on the offensive end of the floor and have a career year overall, so he fits nicely here as third on the Defensive Player of the Year list. For Most Improved Player, my winner is another Utah Jazz player, and this one being Donovan Mitchell. I think that Most Improved Player is a very flawed award because it seems to go to the player that receives the most opportunity comparative to the previous season, and I'm not a big fan of that. I think that this past year we saw Luka Doncic and Jason Tatum take a jump from being like slightly less than all-star level players to being legit borderline superstars, and a legit superstar in Luka's case. And I think that that is a more impressive jump than Brandon Ingram going from being a second option in a Lakers offense to a first option in a Pelicans offense, which then led to him scoring more points. I do think that he made improvements to his game and was a better player last year than 2 years ago, but I would have given it to Luka or Tatum over him. In this case, I think that Donovan Mitchell is going to take a huge jump. He's going to go from being that all-star level guy to a true superstar, establish himself as a top 15, perhaps even top 10 player in the NBA. As you guys probably know if you've been watching these videos for a while now, I'm very high on Donovan Mitchell, and he's a guy I think is going to take a jump, so why would I not predict him to be the Most Improved Player? At number 2, we have the other guy who really had a star performance in the bubble, a real breakout, and that is Jamal Murray. I think that Murray's bubble accolades are going to carry over, and he's going to continue to have success in this year's regular season. I don't necessarily think that he's going to shoot it at a 55% from the field, 50% from 3, 95% from the free throw line efficiency level, but I do think that he's going to have a great year, improve his consistency, and knock down his jumper at a far more frequent rate than he has in the past. I have him number 2 on Most Improved Player. And third is a bit more of a predictive thing. The other two, we saw it in the bubble. This guy, we saw it in the bubble a little bit, but I think that he can expand on his game even further, and that's DeAndre Ayton. I think the addition of Chris Paul to this offense is going to be huge for his game. It adds a great leader and someone who is going to be pushing him to really give his best effort all the time, especially on the defensive end of the floor, where he's going to be held to a much higher standard as someone who can hopefully be an above-average rim protector. And on offense, the pick-and-roll chemistry that I expect him to develop with Chris Paul is also going to be very crucial to his case as the Most Improved Player. I think that he's going to genuinely have a real breakout year and be a borderline all-star for this upcoming season. I've got him third on my Most Improved Player list. Now we'll move on to the Rookie of the Year award, where I think that LaMelo Ball is the clear favorite to win this award. First of all, he went to a situation where he's going to have the ball in his hands for large periods of time, and I also think that number 2, he's clearly the best player in this class. So the combination of those two things just are going to make him an overwhelming Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. I think we could see him average something like 15 points per game, 10 assists per game, and 7 rebounds per game. And if he does that, I don't see how he doesn't win this award. So LaMelo is my Rookie of the Year. The runner-up to me is James Wiseman. I think he's going to be on a playoff team in the Warriors, and will probably be a starter on a playoff team, which should carry a lot of value in the voters' eyes. I also think that he's going to put up good statistical numbers in an offense where he's going to be not asked to step out and do too much he's uncomfortable with, mostly just be a rim runner in the pick and roll and a rim protector on defense. So I think he's going to have a pretty good year. I've got him second. And third, I have Deni Avdija, a bit of a more interesting pick. I know the other two were guys who are selected in the top three. Deni went 9th overall, but I was a pretty big believer in Deni going into this year. I had him 5th on my board, and I think he's someone who's going to come in and be pretty NBA ready to start with. I saw him play in a preseason game against the Nets, and he looked really good. The jumper looked fantastic, and it always has looked good. It just hasn't necessarily gone in all the time. Well, he hit his first 2 threes with immense confidence in that preseason game. I think Deni's going to have a really impactful season as a secondary ball handler in that Wizards offense. And if he can shoot it and play good defense as well, I think there's a strong case for him to be a top 3 guy in the Rookie of the Year discussion following this season. For Coach of the Year, my winner is Michael Malone. As I said before, I'm predicting that the Nuggets finish the season as the 1 seed in the Western Conference, and I think that Malone is going to receive a lot of recognition for that, and he will receive a lot of credit, and deservingly, because I think that he is a top-tier, top 8 to 10 coach in the NBA, and he's got this Nuggets team on the right path. I think they're going to have a great year, so that's why I have him as the Coach of the Year. Second, I have Doc Rivers of the Philadelphia 76ers, obviously. It's his first year with the Sixers. I think that they're going to take a big jump in their regular season win total, and when that happens, usually the coach receives a lot of credit and is in consideration for the Coach of the Year award. I think that Doc is has a strong case for that award because of the jump I think the Sixers are going to make. So I've got him number 2 on my list here. And third, I have Quinn Snyder of the Utah Jazz. I think the Jazz have a really good chance to finish with home court advantage following the regular season. As I mentioned, I'm expecting huge years from Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. So with the combination of that, I think that this team really has a chance to compete for home court advantage. And Quinn Snyder is one of the best coaches in the league. He doesn't necessarily get the recognition he deserves all the time, but I would have him as a top 5 coach in the NBA if I were ranking them. And I think that he should be strongly considered for Coach of the Year if the Jazz are performing up to standard. I've got him 3rd here. Moving on to 6th Man of the Year. I think the clear favorite for this should be Caris LeVert. Assuming Spencer Dinwiddie starts, LeVert is going to come off the bench and just score at such a high level for this Nets team. I also think he's underrated on the defensive end of the floor. He's developed some playmaking pedigree, and I think he could average upwards of 18 or 20 points per game coming off the bench. And as we've seen in the past, that's really what the voters value when considering who should win 6th Man of the Year. So I think Caris LeVert's going to have a great case. He's my pick to win it. At number 2, I have Will Barton of the Denver Nuggets. Now, I get it. Barton has been complaining and whining about being the 6th man. He doesn't want to be the 6th man, doesn't want to come off the bench, blah, blah, blah. Well, I think at some point, Michael Malone, being the good players coach that he is going to sit down, have a talk with Will, and say, hey, just because you're coming off the bench doesn't mean you won't be finishing games. Michael Porter Jr. is very mistake-prone. He's going to have bad nights. You probably will finish a lot of games. We just need you to be a strong veteran in the locker room, come off the bench, give us the 15 points and 5 assists per night that you gave us last year. It's just going to be in a different role, and plus, if you're coming off the bench, you can have the ball in your hands a lot more than if you're playing alongside Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. So I think he'll accept his role, and he'll play at a very high level in that role. I've got him number 2 in the 6th Man of the Year award race. At number 3, I have Danilo Gallinari, as the Italians would say. Gallo was obviously a very good signing for the Hawks. It didn't make a lot of sense at first because people were saying, wait, are they going to try to play Gallo at the 3? He's not very good defensively, can't necessarily guard quicker players, so that's not going to work. Well, pretty soon after, Travis Schlenk made it clear that in his discussions with Gallinari during free agency, he made it quite clear that Gallo would be coming off the bench as a 6th man, and immediately when I heard that, I thought, bam, that's a top 3 6th Man of the Year guy right there. My only problem would be if they could potentially trade John Collins. Gallo might not qualify for the 6th Man of the Year award. But unless that happens, I think he's going to have a very strong case. I've got him number 3. Now that we have gone through those awards, we're ready to move on to the All-NBA teams, starting with the All-NBA team itself. Then we'll move to All-Defense and All-Rookie. All-NBA first team, I have Damian Lillard, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Anthony Davis, and Nikola Jokic. All players that I think are going to have terrific statistical seasons and also be on very good teams. I know it might be surprising not to see LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard, the 2 players I believe are the best in the NBA, on that list, but those 2 players are probably going to have some load management stuff this year, not play enough games to really be considered more valuable than Giannis and AD, the 2 guys I have at their position, the forward position, on the first team All-NBA list, and that's why I don't have those 2 making that first team All-NBA. Second team All-NBA, I have Steph Curry, Ben Simmons, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, and Karl Anthony Towns. First, I want to talk about Simmons here. That might be a bit surprising to some people, considering that he barely squeaked onto third team All-NBA last year and actually had less votes than Chris Middleton, but because of the way the positional voting works, he still made the third team All-NBA. But I think Simmons is going to break out, have a terrific year this year. Doc Rivers has said that the questions about Ben Simmons' jumpers are silly because he's just so good at everything else on the court. And I think that if we can see him at least shoot the ball at a solid rate, he could break out and have like an MVP type season. I'm not necessarily predicting that, but I do think he'll establish himself as one of the 4 best guards in the NBA. That's why I've got him on my second team All-NBA list. The other guy to address here is Karl Anthony Towns. I don't necessarily think the Timberwolves are going to be a great team. I think they'll probably be a bottom 3 or 4 team in the Western Conference, but I do think that Karl Towns is going to come out there, wreak havoc on the NBA. I know that he's going through a hard time following the loss of a lot of his family members, and I've heard him say some really sad stuff about how, like, I think the question was, Karl, is all these losses going to make you come out here and fight even harder on the court? And he said, I don't know, man, like, I played so hard for my family, and it's just heartbreaking what this guy's gone through, but I think he's going to have a great year. Got him on my second team All-NBA. Once again, LeBron James isn't here, but I think that the combination of him having some load management stuff and probably, or potentially, taking a second back seat to Anthony Davis and the Lakers' offensive tier system of how they are distributing the shots, I think he'll probably be more of a third team All-NBA type guy than a second team All-NBA. Also, the forward position is stacked. The 4 guys I have above him are Giannis, AD, Kawhi, and KD. Those are all terrific players, so no offense to LeBron here. But my third team All-NBA is James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James, Jason Tatum, and Joel Embiid. I've got Harden falling off because if he stays on the Rockets, I think there's a chance that he isn't giving the effort on the offensive end that he has before, and that's going to hurt his chances of making one of the first 2 All-NBA teams. I have Donovan Mitchell here because I think he's... Oh, and Harden could also be traded to the Nets or the Sixers, where he might not be able to take as many shots as he would like to. So, yeah, that's why I've got him on my third team All-NBA. Next guy is Donovan Mitchell, who I said before is going to have a breakout year. I've got him as my most improved player, and I think that he has a chance to average upwards of 25 points per game. That's worthy of an All-NBA team. Got him on my third team. And then LeBron, I've talked about it before, still going to have a great year, but won't play as many games, will maybe not have as many touches when he does play, so that's why he's on my third team. And then Tatum and Embiid are pretty standard All-NBA caliber guys. Not too much explanation to have to do there. Moving on to the All-Defense team. On my first team All-Defense, I have Ben Simmons, Jrue Holiday, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Anthony Davis, and Rudy Gobert. Obviously, Simmons, Giannis, and Gobert were my 3 favorites for the Defensive Player of the Year, so I won't explain that too much. But Jrue Holiday is someone who I think is going to have a lot of a... Well, people are going to be going into it thinking, well, Jrue Holiday should probably be like a first-team All-NBA type guy, because after last year, when we didn't include him on an All-NBA defensive team, we got a lot of hate from the players who were like, hey, this guy is one of the best defenders in the league. He deserves to be on one of these teams. So I think that people are going to compensate for that, and that's why I've got Jrue Holiday as a first-team All-NBA guy. He's also a great defender to begin with, so I don't even have to make those kind of excuses for putting him here. He's going to be super impactful, and the Bucks are probably going to be the best defense in the NBA during the regular season. And then Anthony Davis is, yeah, not too much to say here. He's terrific on defense. Weak side shot blocker, strong side shot blocker, can guard multiple positions. He's the real deal. Second team all defense, I have Marcus Smart, DeAnthony Melton, Kawhi Leonard, Mikal Bridges, and Bam Adebayo. Smart and Kawhi and Bam are 3 all-NBA caliber guys. We all know why. We won't go into those too much, but on this list I also have 2 young players that have not made an all-defensive team yet in their careers, but I think are terrific defensively and are guys that I really think have this kind of impact on their teams. Melton is one of my favorite players in the league. I love what he does defensively, has the plus length and strength to guard up the lineup. He's mostly like a 1 or a 2 positionally, but he can guard some 3s and even some 4s despite only being 6'2". So with that, in combination with his ability to be a plus off-the-ball defender who is great at getting deflections and steals, allow his team to get out in transition, that's why I've got him as the second team all-defense guy, and I really, really think that he's going to be impactful for this Grizzlies team. And then with Mikal Bridges, he's really the centerpiece of this Suns defense that I actually think has a chance to be pretty good if Devin Booker is giving good effort and DeAndre Ayton improves. They've already got 3+ defenders in Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, and Mikal Bridges, and Bridges is going to be taking on a lot of challenging matchups against some of the better players in the NBA at the wing position, and I think that he deserves some recognition for that. I've got him on my second team all defense. Also, can we just talk about how much fun it is to watch Mikal Bridges play defense? This might make me sound like a super basketball nerd, but how long is his wingspan? Like, it looks like he could just swallow someone up with those long, lanky, skinny arms, and oh man, I love basketball. I can't wait for the season to start. Finally, we have the all-rookie teams. Top 3 guys on the first team are LaMelo Ball, James Wiseman, and Deni Avdija. I talked about them before in the Rookie of the Year race, but my last 2 players on the first team all-rookie team are Isaac Okoro and Obi Toppin. I think Okoro is going to have a great year with Cleveland this year. He's going to be one of the best players for them he is the best defender on that team, despite it being a rookie, which is really scary for Cleveland's defense. I think they could give up like 120 points per 100 possessions, which would just be disgusting. But Okoro is going to really help them out on that end, brings great effort, is an impactful defender, and I'm really excited to see what he can do there. And I also think that on offense, he's going to have a solid role as like a secondary ball handler who can get to the rim, makes good decisions on when to dump it off to teammates or go up with the shot himself. So I think he's going to have a really good case to make the all-rookie team. Obi Toppin was a player I wasn't as high on as most in the draft. I think I had him outside my top 10, but I did think that the Knicks were one of the better fits for him, considering Mitchell Robinson may be able to make up for a lot of his lackluster defensive traits with Robinson's insane rim protection abilities. So I think he, number 1, ended up in a good place, and number 2 is quite NBA ready. He's going to be able to come in and put up good numbers on the offensive end of the floor, so I think he's a pretty safe bet to make the all-rookie first team. On the second team, I have Tyrese Maxey, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Haliburton, Killian Hayes, and Robert Woodard. We'll start with Maxey, who was one of my favorite players in the draft. I had him 4th on my draft board, and I thought that it was criminal that he fell all the way to the Sixers at 21. He's really going to make that team better right away, in my opinion. But Maxey is a really strong point-of-attack defender who can guard up the lineup because of how strong he is on offense. He is a really strong slasher who is very shifty, has a great hesitation move, and I think that he's going to have a pretty easy time getting to the rim in the NBA. The question is the jump shot, but I'm genuinely a believer in it because in its time in high school, his jumper was really good, shot it upwards of 35% if I'm not mistaken, and this past year he was forced to take a lot more pull-up threes than he probably will at the NBA level, where he'll be more of an off-the-ball player playing alongside Ben Simmons. So I think Maxey is going to have a strong case for the all-rookie team. I've got him on my second team. Edwards was the number 1 overall pick. I just am not sure that he'll be too much of an efficient scorer, and he's probably like the third or fourth option in that offense, so I don't think that he's as good of a case for All-Rookie First Team or Rookie of the Year as many do, but he's still super talented. That's why he's here. Tyrese Haliburton is one of 2 Sacramento Kings on this All-NBA, All-Rookie second team. I think Haliburton's going to be super impactful in the Kings guard rotation right away. Fits alongside De'Aaron Fox playing the 2 or Buddy Hield playing the 1. Going to be a nice distributor, spaces the floor well, can take on some difficult matchups on the defensive side of the floor. It was an absolute steal for the Kings to get him at number 12. I'd have him on my All-NBA first, or All-Rookie first team, but I just am not sure that he'll get as many reps as the other guys will, since he's probably going to be coming off the bench for the Kings. Robert Woodard is the second of the Kings duo on my All-Rookie second team. I had to throw a second-round pick in here somewhere, and I think that Woodard is probably the best case to get rotation minutes right away. I think that there's a chance that he shoots the 3 ball at a high level and is also going to be a plus defender. Something like the Eric Paschall of this year. I get it, they're completely different players. Woodard is better defensively, Paschall's better offensively. But I do think that Woodard is going to get some minutes in a weak Kings wing rotation, and he's just a bit of a wild card, throw it out there pick for the All-Rookie second team. I'll look like a genius if I get that right. Last guy here is Killian Hayes. I think Hayes is going to have a pretty rough rookie season because I'm not real sure that the adjustment to the NBA level is going to go too smoothly for him. I think he could post high turnover rates and not shoot the ball too efficiently, but I do think he's going to have the ball in his hands to put up the counting stats that are necessary to make an All-Rookie team. So that's why I've got him here on my All-Rookie second team. Those are my awards. I guess to recap the individual awards that I went over at the beginning, I have Giannis as my MVP, Gobert as my Defensive Player of the Year, Mitchell as my Most Improved Player, Ball as my Rookie of the Year, Michael Malone as my Coach of the Year, and Caris LeVert as my 6th man. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Which awards do you agree with? Which did you disagree with? Who are your predictions to win these NBA awards for the upcoming year? Let me know. I think that's everything that I wanted to cover, so that'll be it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you all again very soon.